Hey guys, it's Misty Burmeister here. Today I want to talk about anxiety and depression. Two topics really, in which make me incredibly uncomfortable. In fact, I've wanted to talk about this and to share this story with you since the beginning of May, and today's June 2nd. In the beginning of May, I listened to a guided meditation in which the meditation instructor talked about mental health, because May is Mental Health Month. And in that conversation, she talked about sort of signs of depression. And it gave me this flashback to this moment just a couple of years ago in which I went to the local mental hospital here in Baltimore to sign up for a psilocybin study. Psilocybin is a mushroom that has been used for hundreds of years to help people with a whole variety of mental and physical challenges. And sort of in this place of desperation, having struggled for decades with insomnia and anxiety, I thought maybe this will help. And so I go in there and I'm walking down this long corridor to Dr. Q's office. This is the guy who ultimately needed to ask me a bunch of questions to see whether or not I was the right fit for this study. And I'm shaking, as you might imagine, just anxious about the whole thing. Feeling weird and uncomfortable, the stigmatism around mental illness and mental challenges I'm definitely been affected by that. And so I'm walking down the hallway and I finally make it to his office, and he instructs me to sit down just on the other side of this big desk. And the desk, by the way, is filled with paperwork, almost making it impossible to see him and definitely to have this sense of connection. There was such a big desk between us as he's asking me some of the most personal questions about my family. And at one point he looks at me and he says, "You know, Misty, it's pretty likely that your entire family suffers from mental illness." And just those words, they rippled and rippled and rippled, sort of hung in the air like a thick cloud of dark gray smoke. Like, did not want that to be my reality. I mean, it was much easier to think, well, they've suffered from isms of all sorts, alcoholism, other isms. And I know that I grew up in that environment, but I can choose not to engage in those activities. But this idea of mental health is a brain-related, chemistry-related thing, and which really comes down to habitual thought patterns, and this is all, of course, my interpretation. And these habitual thoughts are put in through media and certainly through parents, and mine are very far from positive. And so I felt this incredible sort of almost difficult, almost impossible to breathe as he said that. And I realized the truth in what he was speaking about. Gave me a little bit more compassion for the sort of the reason behind addiction and also abuse. Because when we're abusing ourselves, it's really difficult not to do that to other people, and particularly family members. And I grew up in that. And so is it possible that I could be affected by that? Yeah. But the discomfort was just too much. I couldn't take it anymore. And so I ultimately left that office and left that hospital and just really doubled down on a lot of things that I could do to help myself with my mental health. These are things like yoga and guided meditation and swimming and exercises of all sorts, and exploring and being in nature, and therapy, lots of therapy, and psychiatry, medications to help calm the mind, the brain, really, the central nervous system, really, which for me can get super hyper activated. And so I doubled down on those things, and they certainly help, and they've helped a lot during this pandemic. In fact, I can't imagine where I would be right now if it weren't for Al-Anon, which is a 12-step recovery program for friends and families of alcoholics. I can't imagine where I'd be without my therapist, or the great mountains and the ocean and my friends and my beautiful wife who listens with such compassion and understanding, or at least trying to understand. I think it's a hard thing to understand if you've never sort of grown up, or if you've never if you've never experienced the discomfort of the brain telling you that you're not okay, and that there's nothing that you can do to be okay, and sort of feeling this little bit of trappedness. And really the trappedness, as I understand it the best I can, is inside my thinking. And try as I may, you guys, I do so many things to help with that. I am a prolific reader. I start my day every day with intention. I focus on gratitude. I can tell you a whole variety of things I do to help myself. And still, today is a tough day, which is probably why I finally just got on a video and shared the message. Because ultimately, I listened to a beautiful singer whose name I'm not remembering right now, but on The Voice, the latest of The Voice in 2021, the first Voice. And this young lady who's now in the top 4, behind, I've recorded them, talked about suicidal ideation. And the thing that really struck me was that she said, it passes. And it made me think of all things in life. They pass, and I have moments that are high where I feel just incredibly connected in community and supported, and by the universe, by the world, by my community, and that I get to be a support in that same way. And then I have days where I just struggle, like I don't know what's happening. There's so many things that are changing right now in the world, and a lot inside my world, in addition to the pandemic, that are challenging. So what can we do? And the thing I've learned the most right now, that helps me the most, is to feel those feelings that are uncomfortable. I just cried my eyes out moments ago. It's difficult. I'm struggling with all the change and the not knowing what's going to happen, from where I live to what direction my career is taking, to so many things, what's happening with the pandemic, masks and getting back together in person, and it's just weird and it's uncomfortable. And also, I just got this text message yesterday, celebrating Pride Month. I'm in a beautiful relationship with the love of my life, and there's that difference, and that can make it difficult sometimes to feel connected and to feel a part of society. There's a difference. So some things that I'm doing is just being with the feelings and letting myself really experiencing them and holding the space for myself. And guided meditation is very helpful to me in the afternoon. And then I also spend a lot of time in nature right now, as much time as I possibly can, and try to be as gentle with myself as I can. So those are the sort of top things I'm doing for myself right now. The number one being there for and with myself. And then some of the things people have done for me that have been very helpful is to just listen. Like there's this tendency that we just want to sort of fix. We don't want you to feel that feeling because that's uncomfortable for you, and we love you, and for me because I don't want to see you hurting like that. And the greatest gifts I think anybody has ever given me is the gift of just listening. I find my own solutions, the emotions pass, and I feel better. So just listening, I'd say I want to end with that. If you can just listen and reflect back what you're hearing and say, it makes sense, and I'm sorry that you're hurting, and I'm here with you, and we're in this together. It's so beautiful when I hear those words. If you found this video to be helpful, please share it. And thank you for listening. Here's to your greatness.